What is art to you?
Art is my life. Art is the way in which I express my feelings, my emotions, my anger, my joy. Art also is a culmination. What I do now is a culmination, really, of my whole life. Someone once asked me, how long did it take me to paint a certain painting? And at that time, I think I was 85 years old. I said, it took 85 years.
Oh.
Because you put yourself into a piece of artwork.
Today we're here to celebrate one Gladys Barker Grauer, who really was the root, the foundation of Newark's arts community. She was amazing. She was a mentor, an educator, and she was a fighter. She was a fighter for justice through her art, through her being, and it's just great to be here with hundreds of people. My name is Jeremy Johnson with Newark Arts, Executive Director. We celebrate her legacy, and we're going to continue it. Thank you, Gladys, for all you've done.
This is Nell Painter. I'm at the Newark Public Library after a really amazing celebration of Gladys. As a person, as an artist, as an activist, as a citizen of Newark and in the art world. Was so inspiring, so uplifting. I'm really, really happy to have been here. I didn't meet Gladys until I became an artist myself, so my knowledge of her isn't as deep as for many, many other people. But I instantly came to appreciate not only her art, but her activism, her art activism. So I'm just delighted to have been able to celebrate her and to celebrate her with my fellow Newarkers.
We had the repast for Gladys Grauer, one of Newark's most incredible artists. She was an activist when activism was not as popular as it is today. She was self-described socialist, a real socialist, before it became popular. She was a community person, a humanitarian. We loved her. Her art was incredible. Her love for people, for community, for humanity, for the city was just enormous. You can see by the outpouring of people here at the Newark Library. Had an incredible homegoing celebration at the Newark Museum. She is loved by so many We have so much work to do in this community and this country, period, to live up to the expectations of what Gladys Grauer wanted for all of us and all of humanity. I say Godspeed to her and her family. We love you, and we're going to keep on pushing.
Well, I just want to deeply give my condolences to the family of Gladys Barker Grauer. Isaiah was someone that I've known for quite some time, as well as some of the other family members. For myself, I consider Mrs. Grauer our mother as a black woman and a female artist. I definitely look to her as the person that was, and then we were able to be as well. And now comes a time where us, the other generations that came after her and benefited, that we have to begin to step up our game and make sure that the legacy that she created and left behind doesn't become a void, because that's important, because if it becomes a void, then the people behind us will not be able to benefit from everything that she did, and it'll all be for nothing. So this momentum, this energy, bringing down her spirit, keeping it with us universally is imperative, because art is more important now more than ever. Thank you. I love every single one of you all.
Just want to say that Gladys Grauer was a gift in my life. She actually was my 8th grade art teacher, and throughout my life as an artist, she has inspired me to move forward in my creativity, and I was always so happy to see her, always so happy to see her smile, and always so happy that she seemed proud of what I was doing, because I certainly was proud of what she was doing. And I love the family. I love you, Tony. I love you. You know, we were out in the streets protesting just like your mommy would have us do. And, you know, long live Pop and all that good stuff. And thank you, Gladys. Thank you so much for being who you were.
Hey, Gladys, I just want to say thank you for being a strong teacher to so many people, inspiring generations with your art. Being that way shower for my mother, Yvonne Anque, was one of your students. And we just want to share love, show love, and let your warm energy continue to inspire not just the art world, but the whole world. So we say we love you, we pay homage to you, we appreciate you, because your art helped a lot of people's art shine through you.
I never saw a black teacher in the elementary school. I never saw a black teacher in high school. When I graduation, the girl who should have been valedictorian, she had the highest grades of any kid in the class, was a black girl. And somehow they maneuvered around, and they maneuvered that Peggy Goldberger would be the valedictorian. Would be the valedictorian, and Clarnell White would be the salutatorian. Well, that was another thing that stuck in our little black heads, that things were not right.
I want to thank God for her life. On behalf of the Newark Circle of Sisters, we honored her at our Women's on Fire a few years ago as a humanitarian. She left a mark in this city. I am very close with her son, Judge Grauer, and I thank God for everything that she has instilled in him as a mother. It shows. She was awesome. She was amazing. She was definitely one of a kind. She will definitely be missed. And as Newark's baby, I can stand and attest to say, as Twin Cities baby, she was there for every young lady that was in Newark that had a desire and a fire in their soul to want to make a difference for our people. Miss Gladys did that for us. So on behalf of the Newark Circle of Sisters, on behalf of the Gregory Thomas Foundation, on behalf of Newark's baby, on behalf of just being Mrs. Tamika Darton Thomas, Miss Tamika, we love Miss Gladys, and we thank y'all for sharing her with us. God bless y'all. and may he continue to cover each and every one of y'all. Thank you for her life.
Peace and blessings. This is Mansa Musa, Newark artist, Newark arts educator. Been making art in Newark for, I think, about 60 years. So I met Gladys Grauer at the Art Studio Gallery. My teacher, Nettie Thomas, who was my art teacher in Weequahic High School, she told me to go down to the Art Studio Gallery on Bergen Street, and that'll give you an idea how artists work. Now, I was 16. Like most artists in Newark who are 16, you're working on your kitchen table, you're working in your bedroom, you're working on your floor. When I went to the Art Studio Gallery, I got a chance to see an artist studio. And I got to see artists working there, Bisa Washington, Alita Caldwell, and it was a revelation for me because it made a blueprint, a template for how I wanted to work in the studio as an artist. And I've been doing that for, I guess, the last 40 years. And then my Gladys Grauer story, I had the opportunity to take pictures of Gladys and take pictures of Gladys's work. So, Gladys asked me to take some pictures, some slides of her work. I brought them back to her to a house on Seymour Avenue, and she said, "Monta, you ain't no true colored man." I said, "Gladys, what you mean I'm not no true colored man?" She said, "You do great work, you give me a good price, and you bring the work back on time when you said you was." I said, "Gladys, you gonna tell me you gonna drum me out of the cord to colors just because I'm doing the right thing?" She said, "Yeah, you ain't no real true colored man." And that's my Gladys Grauer story. She was a beautiful woman, beautiful spirit, beautiful artist. She inspired so many artists in Newark. Me, like I said, since I was 16 and then on to this day. So Gladys, you're resting in peace and you're resting in power, and you're going to be missed. You're going to be missed.
I opened the gallery for selfish reasons. I wanted a studio to work outside of my house. I had 4 children, and it gave me a place to work. When I opened the gallery, I was amazed at the artists who started coming. You know, as soon as I opened up the gallery, I looked and there was Ben Jones, there was Ani Struther, there was Alita Caldwell, Nettie Thomas, all these people. But I didn't know that there was really a need for the gallery. I wanted to have a gallery. And what happened was, once they started coming in, and we formed, one thing we formed was a women's art group. That was the first thing I saw was a necessity, was women who had a husband, children, a job. In fact, these were teachers. So they were teaching, and they had, they had all these things, but they weren't exhibiting. And Alita Caldwell, the first time she exhibited was in my gallery. I think the second exhibitor was Nettie Thomas. And from then on, there's just lists of artists, because they needed a place to exhibit. They needed a place for artists to come together.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joyce Sanjudd from the Newark Arts, and also I am with the Newark Museum. I had the great pleasure to meeting Gladys Grauer many years ago. What an inspiration. What a landmark, what a footprint that she put in this city and onto our hearts. She leaves behind a legacy that we will have to carry that torch and be accountable and responsible for all that she's done. When someone like that comes into our lives, into our path, it is not with just matter-of-factly. It is with definitively purpose and a product for us to be able to manufacture to our lives, to our children's lives, and the very communities we live in. So Gladys, you've left it all for us. Maybe be able to carry the torch and do it what we've been called to do, and do it well and committed to who she is, who you are, and what you are in our lives. Peace and grace, and thank you for the blessing of being in my life.
Gladys Grauer, hard to begin. I met Gladys Barker Grauer during my early months as executive director of the Newark Arts Council, and I always thought, the arts community always thought of Gladys as the dean of our arts community, but she was so much more. She was such a warm and friendly person. I looked forward to her telephone calls, which were frequent, to give me advice, to ask questions, to push me in the right directions. I always valued her input and her support. I'll miss her as a friend, as a colleague, but I'll always have the joy in my heart that I felt every time I saw her. Her smile was so infectious. She was always so warm. And also her family. I appreciate the love that I felt from Gladys expressed through them every time I saw them. So although she will be missed, the love I felt, the respect I have for her will always be here.
It is really such an honor to be here today to say a few words about Gladys. Gladys has been a symbol of courage and commitment and creativity for women for decades. And I have been able to watch her and follow her since the early 1970s. And I think the legacy she's left for women, artists and educators, is to be your beliefs. Whatever you believe in, make sure you model it for all these younger women and for your colleagues. I remember the most recent event was we were at a gallery at Faro, and Gladys had brought so much work, which was amazing. And she pulled out a portfolio, and in it was her work from and when she was a teenager and she was in Chicago, that she had just refound that her mother had kept of all of her drawings from way back in the 50s. The fact that she cherished it so much was also a reflection of how much she cherished being a mentor and a courageous model for all of us. And for that, it's a big smile.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Banks. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Grauer at an art festival about 3 years ago. I was working under Rodney Gilbert, the Yendor Productions, and we had our artwork on the same floor over the Wells Fargo building. And I remember this room she had where her artwork was in. When you entered it, you had to eat a piece of candy. And very funny woman, hilarious. We laughed before the show even started. So that's my fondest memory of Gladys. Very special person. Thank you.
Gladys Barker Grauer, one of the most grounded, authentic, absolutely real person of unimaginable legacy, of which so many have commented on. And for my part, I just want to say thank you, Gladys, for everything that you did with your life. You were an amazing, amazing, wonderful person.
Okay, this message is to Gladys. I guess this is about Gladys. She had a way of speaking life into young artists, and me especially, and kind of inspiring me and making me feel like I would be, or I had the potential to do great things in terms of my art. She mentored me. She was a former teacher of mine. And she's just a great individual with great energy. And every opportunity I had to speak with her and spend time to her, she was always trying to feed me, and in terms of becoming a better artist, a better person, and just having my mind in the right place. And so I'm blessed to have known her and to have known the family. So I send all my best to her and the family. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gwen Moulton. I'm the director of the Mayor's Office of Arts, Cultural Development, and Tourism. And believe me, this has been a wonderful day to give homage to and celebrate the life of Gladys Grauer. What an inspiration. I'm blessed because I've had the chance to know her. I've had the chance to receive her wonderful gifts of life and love and art, but importantly to me, to that smile that she would always share when I would greet her. It's great to have a person in your life that you can admire and wish to emulate, and Gladys was that person for me. So Newark is blessed. Newark is honored to move forward with the memory and the legacy of Gladys Grauer. Thank you.
And I went on, and I remember it because it was terrifying. What they were fighting against was restricted covenants. That's where black people cannot, where you can't buy a house. You can't, restricted covenants is that you only sold to white people. And the other thing they were demonstrating against was restaurants that wouldn't serve black people. I'm laughing because as I think about it now, it was such a terrifying thing for me then. So anyway, I go with this group of white kids to this restaurant. And we go in and we sit down. I don't know if you can get the feeling that I had then. I was terrified, but for some reason I didn't. And we sat down in this restaurant, and the man came over and said that he called the police to come and put us out. So when the police came, we left, and I was so relieved because, in Chicago, you learn not to like them. You learn to be afraid of the police too. Not now in 2016. We're going way back to 1941 and 42. I was scared to death. I didn't trust policemen.
I remember Gladys fondly. I'm a teacher in Newark, and I've been teaching for many years. When I first started teaching in Newark, I went to an occasion at the Montclair Museum, and I got there very early, and Gladys was sitting there alone. I didn't know who she was. I sat down next to her, and we started talking, and we were talking as mothers about our daughters. And as people started coming in, I saw everyone turn to her and almost bow. And I looked at Gladys and I said, you must be important because everyone that comes in the room is giving homage to you and giving you a bow. I said, what is your name? She said, my name is Gladys Grauer. I said, oh, I know who you are. Your name precedes you. And we started laughing, and I had a lovely, lovely time with her. But I first met her as mother of daughters, and it was from there I would see her at art shows, and she was always someone that had some frank comments that were so funny that I would gravitate towards her. So because I knew wherever Gladys was, there was a smile, there was a laugh, and there were good times. She was a mentor for me as an educator. She had many of my past students in her mural projects, and I'm just happy to have known her and here to celebrate her life. She's a legend in the city of Newark, someone we'll never forget, and I learned many things from, and I will cherish the moments that I spent with her. I just want to give my condolences to the family and let them know that the legend of Gladys will always live on in our hearts, in my heart as an educator, in our hearts here in the city of Newark.
You gotta look in the camera when you speak. Hold it up and look in the camera. What you gonna say?
Moo.
You're gonna say moo. Okay. So all I'm gonna say real quick is that I just want to thank Gladys for being the godmother of the Newark art scene and laying a foundation as a guide and a light for all of the artists here in Newark, for us to follow her lead, and for her to, she was a huge inspiration to all of us, and we just want to say thanks.
A cow.
All right, we're here, for the celebration of the life well lived of Gladys Barker Grauer. My name is Richard Camerari.
I'm Margaret Camerari.
Political poet, sometimes, yes, I try. But You know, the saying is a life well lived, a life, that's the old cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. And Gladys epitomizes a person who lived a well life, fully lived, constructively lived, progressively lived, creatively lived. She worked and did all this in supporting people, her family, and the whole community around her. Her and her husband Saul. I met them back in the 70s when I was with a youth program called Quest with Joyce and Cliff Carter. And the rest was history. Got to work with Tony, her daughter, for a long time in various programs in Newark. And, I mean, she'll be missed. And Newark's going to be, lesser without her presence, but it is so much more because of her presence and her family and her husband, what she gave to the city. And as the mayor said, she just was one of those people who enhanced our humanity and our creativity and the beauty of being in Newark. So Gladys, thank you so much for everything you gave us and the rest.
And we love you, and the inspiration to women and to everyone will live on.
So I remember maybe I was about 8, the first time I remember meeting Miss Grauer. I've been taking piano lessons for some time, and she has this broken keyboard in her house, or a broken piano in her house, and she asked me to play, and I did. And she kept saying, oh, those keys don't work, you can't play the piano. So I played it for her anyways. I played the bare necessities because that was the only song I knew how to play. And she hummed along and danced behind me. And my mother took a picture that Miss Grauer, I believe, is still hung in her living room somewhere around there. But in that time that I was around her, she was real with people, but she was very kind. And I think that's very important for everybody to be real with people, but as kind as you can. So, yeah.
Gladys. I met Gladys, believe it or not, I met Gladys in a support group. We both were suffering breast cancer, and I fell in love with her when I first met her. And then come to find out, I went to school with her son. We were in elementary school together. So it's just amazing how God can put people together sometimes. But she was very much an inspiration to me, and I loved her very much. We would get together sometimes for dinner, and she would talk about her family. And like I said, did not realize that we really had a connection. I'm going to miss her very much, and this was a beautiful day for her.
I'm Sister Frederica Bay, and I'm just so honored and blessed to be here today with our beloved sister mother, community activist, all of that, Sister Gladys. The last time I spoke with her was right here in the James Brown room, the very last time, and I saw her come in. No, I didn't see her come in, but I got up to get some water, and I saw her, and I asked her, is there anything I can get for you? And I would always do this to her when I saw her. And she said, no. She said, Tony's on her way. She went to park the car. She's on her way in. So this has been such a blessed day, and my God, to live a life that you've touched so very many. I thank you, Gladys, for everything. I love you. I love your family. I love your great-grandchildren that haven't been born. All right? Thank you so much. May Allah bless.
I'm Kenneth Lee, one of Gladys Grauer's students. I was known as Kenny Lee. As a matter of fact, I guess if not so, at least she made me feel so, that I was one of her most favorite students. Gladys Grauer was the kind of individual who sought to bring out the very best in every student she came in contact with. And I must confess, if not for her, I would not be where I am today. There are 3 women that were very important in my life. My grandmother, Helen, my mother, Grace, and Gladys Grauer. Gladys took time to cultivate an attitude towards success. When we were in school, we tried to get her out of there. We had teachers come in, back and forth. We gave them such a hard time. But when she came in, we knew we were gonna get her out. But you know, that lady, she held her own. And she was very disciplined, clever, and cool and calm at all times. So we thought we were gonna get out. What she did was she called our parents, and boy, that was the beginning of the end for us. Straighten out all the knuckleheads in class, including myself. But upon that, also, she would bring her son to school sometimes, Leon. And Leon was quite clever and kind of funny. But you know, his jokes were kind of a little insulting to the knuckleheads, and guys wanted to beat him up. And I was a part of a martial art group, and I kind of liked the guy, you know. So I tried to be a little bit of a bodyguard for him. Besides, I was so infatuated with Gladys's energy towards trying to bring out the best in me as an artist. As a matter of fact, my first job was working at Art Guild as a color separationist. And not only did she prepare me for the job, but she also took me there when I filled out the application and told me, don't be afraid, don't be nervous. You're the best one here at this job. You can do it better than anyone else here. You're the best in the school at this, silk screen printing and designing. You have what it takes. Just do your best. You're gonna be fine. And she was right. I worked there 6 months. They gave me a raise. I did very well there. I went into other companies doing silk screen, opened up my own t-shirt company for a while there. But she was very inspirational. She really took time to let you know that you were a valued human being and that you are entrusted with certain gifts that you have to pass on to others and learn to be of service in your community. You know, one part feels bad that she's gone, the other part is happy that she's out of pain, but most of all, I know that all the people who have come in contact with her have a thin thread that's unbreakable, that's very important in all our lives, that proves a point that no matter where we are and where we go, what you say and do in this life echoes in eternity, and the thin threads, we are always connected. And that's one thing that makes a big difference in my heart, because she made an attitude that went beyond the norm. Be responsible, dependable, trustworthy, and above all, brother, young man, make sure that you learn to be resourceful. And Gladys Grauer said this to all the guys when they did poor work: you're fired. And that was one word we hated, because you had to do this work, you had to prove yourself, and you had to have integrity. And I want to say, one part's gonna miss you, other part's not, because you're always here.
Now you have a lot of artists in Newark, and at that time, we weren't not the money. I think money is important, but maybe I was fortunate that my art did not depend upon money, because I was teaching. I was making money teaching. Wow. You know, so I could paint what I wanted to paint. I think when you get to today, I really don't know why the artists are not more united. And I guess, well, this is a different era, this is a different time, and there's a whole lot of things going on. Also, there's a whole lot of, how should I put it?
Distractions?
The money. Everybody's into wanting money.
Hey, we just want to give a shout out to
the family, our family. It's the Get Along Gang.
Yes.
Yep.
This is our family here. The Grauers, the Richardsons.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The Baskervilles.
This is the Marion Bolden
Student
Center crew right here.
Oh, yeah.
With Tony and Gladys and Rodney and
Gilbert.
Rodney Gilbert, and just having a real time with young people, preserving, creating memories, experiences, and building a foundation of legacy and continuing. Yeah, Gladys poured into all of us.
That's right.
And we poured into each other.
And Gladys worked there at the Student Center with us.
Yes, and she did that mural, and we got to come and go every day and seeing parts and pieces of it.
Right.
sharing students, sharing love, you know.
Yeah.
So.
We
And
love you.
celebrating our life. We love you, Gladys.
We love you. We always will.
Love you, Tony, Gladys,
And our
Rodney,
family.
all of everybody.
Everybody.
Okay.
Peace.
Peace.
Greetings, peace, everyone. I just wanted to share some gratitude and reflections about Mama Gladys. Mama Gladys came to City Without Walls when I first started working there, 2016. And it meant a lot to me that she was present. It was an exhibition for Akintola Hanif. And she pulled me to the side and she grabbed my hand and she said, we planted seeds for you all for this very purpose. And I'm so grateful for the contributions and all that she's given to our Newark Arts community. And we are all her children. So thank you, Mama Gladys, and peace and love to the family.
Unselfish love and continuous guidance, her wisdom, her sharing of her creativity and techniques, her acceptance of me as her daughter. I called her Ma. She's my Ma.
Do you have a Gladys Gower story?
I have many stories. I would say the most recent one, when I lost my house and she was sick in bed when she first started getting sick. She called me and she said, Bisa, are you okay? I said, no, don't ask me, am I okay? Are you okay? You know what she said to me? She said, don't tell me what to do. I said, are you okay? She said, I'm coming over there. That picture of her sitting in that blue chair and me, she came that day. I think Ani brought her, somebody brought her. She came to see what was going on because I wasn't giving up no information. I didn't want to stress her. And she was like, no, tell me what's going on. I shouldn't have to hear it from other people. And then she started giving me solutions of what I could do and where I could go and bring my artwork. Call Yvonne and Emma and tell them to come get my artwork. And that's what I did. I did as instructed by Ma.
I'm not going to give a whole story here, but I'm just going to make this point, is that you have a group, and it's African American, black people, who this kind of art is not uplifting. See, that's not anything political and all that stuff, and about black men being killed and all that sort of stuff. That is not what we need, is art that uplifts the people. But you know what? We have to have both equally. We need art that uplifts, that gives us hope and stuff, but we also need arts that tell the facts.
Got you.
That tell how we feel, that tell what this society is doing to us.
Yes.
We need both equally. And somehow that's something that gets confusing with the artists. They want to do acceptable work. But you've got to have a group that supports art for art's sake.
Got you.
In memory of Miss Gladys Barker Grauer, what I could leave everyone in the world with is, one, is get yourself a Gladys. It will make your life a little easier to have someone in your life that can fill you with inspiration, love, power, strength, creativity. The many moments I've had with Miss Grauer were filled with just stories upon stories. And those things have inspired me and others just to be, just to be ourselves, because that's who she was. She didn't really care if someone had something to say about her work and who she was. She taught us to, again, just to be. And my saying will always be is get yourself a Gladys, because when you get one, you'll know how to just be because that Gladys will inspire you to be yourself, not to hide yourself, and to just create. As an artist, she taught us to create. And her work was her. Her work embodied her. And her work taught us to be ourselves. That's it.